Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Today's topic is reverse gender roles. This is something that have been coming up a lot in private sessions. I realized, and this is something that I also had, many women, they step into male roles and try to be the man in a relationship, in the family, and so on. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you have chosen a female body, there are things that you can only explore in a female body. So why deny yourself that experience? Why trying to be something else and taking away potentially certain lessons, certain experience that a person in your life who is in a male body wants to have? And this is something that I realized a few years ago. And I realized there's just no need for that. I can explore so many things while being in a female body. And there's also so many good things, amazing things that I can only do as a female. And that's what we want to explore today. Where have you become both male and female in the way you show up in life, and how it might be limiting your life's expression, because you might be not showing up authentically in your life. And yeah, so if this is something that's resonating with you, then watch this replay over and over again. It's going to go deeper. As always, I have prepared slides. I'm going to share them. We're going to be using the releasing technique. So feel free to make yourself as comfortable as you need to. Put your awareness at the center of your heart. There's nothing you need to do. There's nowhere you need to go. Just allow yourself to be fully present in the here and the now. Put your awareness at the center of your heart. Put your awareness somewhere 300 feet above your crown. Tap into the love and light, 300 feet above your crown. Allow this love and light to begin coming down on your crown, on your forehead, on your ajna, on your throat, on your heart, on your solar plexus, on your navel. This energy is going all the way down to the center of Mother Earth. Tap into the love and light at the center of Mother Earth. Allow this love and light to begin coming up through your feet, through your body, coming into your heart, filling up your heart with love and light. A sphere of love and light is beginning to form itself at the center of your heart. It's becoming as big as your house, as big as your town, as big as this planet, and even bigger. With your awareness at the center of Mother Earth, imagine there is an elevator. The door is opening, you are stepping inside. The door is closing and the elevator is beginning to rise, coming up through the crust of the earth, through your feet, through your body, coming into your heart, going higher through your head, crown, with some of your good karma abuse, to take our consciousness, our awareness all the way to the seventh plane of consciousness, create a field at this consciousness level. And may some of our good karma abuse as create a field. That is what is the most important thing for us to let go, release when it comes to the gender that we are embodying in this lifetime. What is stopping us from embracing it fully? Say, I release the belief that being a female makes me weak. I release the belief that women are weak. I release the belief it is so much better to be in a male body. I release all the religious programmings that make me believe that men are more valuable than women. I release the belief that I can only achieve my goals in life if I am in a male body. I release the belief that life is war and I must constantly show up in my warrior energy. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never let my guard down. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never step out of the warrior role, of the warrior energy. I release the belief that I am a fighter. If you believe you're a fighter, then there is always something you need to fight. I release the belief that there is something for me to fight for, fight against. I release the belief that I cannot survive on this physical plane in a female body. As a woman, I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to suppress my femininity. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to hide my femininity. I release the belief that if I show up in my female power, I will be destroyed. I will be attacked. I release the belief that women have no power, have no rights. I release all the anger and resentment at God for giving me a female body. I release the belief it was my bad luck to end up in a female body. I release the belief that female body limits me. I release the belief that I would have achieved much more in life if I was a man. I release the belief that if I was a man, I would have had much more success, had much more advantages in life. I release the belief that if I was a man, I would have had much more privileges in life. I release the belief that no rules apply to man. I release the belief that I would have more freedom if I was a man. I release the belief that my life would be better in every way if I was a man. I release the belief that being a woman holds me back. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be a man, to be like man, to behave like man, to think like man. I release the belief that everything men do, they do it better than women. I release the belief that we are living in a man's world. That's a big belief. I release the belief that everything in this world, all the rules, traditions are rigged against women. I release the belief that men have much more advantages in life than women. I release wishing I was born a man. I release the belief that my parents would love me more if I was born a boy. I release the belief that I would have gotten better education if I was born a boy. I release the belief that my gender is my biggest limitation in life. I release the belief that all men in my life are useless, so it is better I will be the man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to do everything that men do. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never need a man in my life. I release the belief that my life is so much better without a man in my life. I release all my anger and resentment at all the men that destroyed my life, that brought havoc into my life. I release the belief that all men do is use me. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be father and mother to my children. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be the wife and the husband in my marriage. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to believe that I can only rely on myself and nobody else, especially not on men. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never rely on a man for any help. I release the belief that I must prove to man my strength, how strong I am. I release the belief that there is anything at all that I must prove to anybody. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to try and prove anything to anyone. I release the belief that man will only respect me if I act like a man. I release my need to be respected by man. I release all my need to belong with man. I release the belief that I should have been born a man, that life has made a mistake. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to compete with man in any way. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to want to put down man. I release my need to put down man, to look down on man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to avenge all the women, to make all the men pay for all the things they have done to women. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to do unto men what men have done unto women. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to want to make men pay for all that they have done to women. I release all the beliefs that men must be punished for everything that they have done to women. I release the belief that I should be the one who punishes men for everything that they have done to women. I release all my anger and resentment toward men. I release all the vows, promises, solemn vows I have ever made to avenge women, to make men pay. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be the karmic police who makes sure that men are punished. I release the belief that men must be punished. I release the belief that God must punish the man for what they did. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never forgive man. Many women want to be like men, but at the same time, many women really look down on men. They exclude men, they talk bad about men, they put them down, disempower them, fight for the power with men. So I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to disempower men, to take away their power, make them just as powerful as I was. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to fight men for power. I release the belief that all men are stupid. I release the belief that men are useless. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to have nothing to do with men. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be the man in my life. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to identify myself with my father. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to perceive my mother as weak and to want nothing to have to do with her. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to judge my parents, to judge my father as strong, and to judge my mother as weak. I release all the programming that man must be disempowered, that man must be doing that which the woman what the woman says. I release the belief that the woman has to command the man. I release the belief that the man has to command the woman. I release feeling joy whenever I get to control a man. I release all the feelings of satisfaction from domineering a man. I release the belief that I must subdue the man. I release all my suppressed hate toward the man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to make the man obsolete in my life. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to not want to have anything to do with the man. That's a big one. Where have you decided we don't want to have anything to do with men? I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to banish men from my life, to exclude men from my life. I release the belief that a woman is much better off without a man in her life. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to embrace only my male energies. I release all the inner war between the male and female energies in my system. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to polarize in my male energies. I release the belief that I can only trust my male power to get things done, to achieve the things I want to achieve. I release feeling tired of being a woman. I release the belief that as a woman I am always at a disadvantage. I release the belief that I cannot trust my female energies. I release the belief that being in my female energies makes me weak. I release hating being weak, showing weakness. I release all my shock and trauma from all the times when I was disrespected, humiliated, because I was weak and couldn't defend myself. I release all the shock and trauma from all the times I was powerless, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, powerless. I release all the vows and promises I have ever made to never be powerless again. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to believe that it is better to be born a man. I release the belief that men and women are not equal in the eyes of God. I release the belief that I was born a man. I release feeling like I'm the man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to show up like a man in life. I release the belief that a woman can never survive in a male environment. I release the belief that a woman can never be respected by man. I release all the shock and trauma from all the times when I was not respected. I release feeling afraid of being humiliated again. I release the belief that if I'm not in my male power, others will harm me. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to suppress all of my female power, to disassociate myself from my female power. I release the belief that men and women are at war with each other. I release the belief that God is a man who favors man. I release the belief that men are more favored by God. I release all the religious programming that says that women are sinners, born to be subservient to man. I release the belief that women are not as smart as men. I release my need to compete with anybody. I release my need to be better than everybody else. I release all the spiritual, religious, societal programmings that women are worth less than men. I release all my decisions and choices to fight men, to fight against men. I release all the vows, promises, commitments I have ever made to wage war on man. I release the belief that I have to be like a man in order to succeed in my career. I release mimicking and replicating men and their behavior, their decisions and choices, their beliefs. I release the belief that only men get to be strong. I release all the programmings that women are weak, are powerless, stupid. I release all the power I have ever taken on that is not authentically mine. I return all the energies I have absorbed from others to the rightful owners. I make a new decision now to allow myself to fully embrace my female energies, my female power, my inner strength. I allow myself to fully embrace my female and male energies. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to deny my femininity. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to suppress my femininity. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to turn my back on my femininity. I release all not wanting to be a woman. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to suppress and ignore everything that makes me a woman. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to deny my body, to deny my gender. I release the belief that it is a mistake that I am a woman in this life. I release the belief that I was punished with a female body in this life. I release the belief that being a woman in this life is a punishment. I release taking pride in my strength, in my male strength, male energies. I release the belief that I must show up in life like a man in order to succeed. I release the belief that women never amount to anything, and neither will I. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be like a man out of the belief that my parents wanted me to be a man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to try and live up to my parents' expectations of me. I release my grief and sadness from all the times I felt less loved, less appreciated than the boys in my family. I release all my anger and resentment at my parents for forcing me to do the things they never forced the boys in the family to do. I release my anger and resentment at my parents for all the double standards they have for boys and girls in the family. I release my anger and resentment from all the times I watched double standards applied to girls and boys, to men and women. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to judge women much harsher than I would men. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to let men get away with things I would never let a woman get away with. I release all my tendencies to judge women. I release the belief that if I was a man, I could do whatever the hell I want. I release feeling trapped in a female body. I release feeling disempowered in a female body. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to be in a constant fight, in a constant argument with others. I release the belief that I can never lay down my weapons and be at peace. I release the belief that a woman is limited in all of her expressions. I release the belief that a woman must always give way to a man. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to mimic and replicate man's behavior, man's attitudes. I release the belief that women are weak, are weaker than men. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to never be as weak as other women. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to fight my way to the top, to bulldoze my way to the top. I release the belief that I'm constantly at war. I constantly need fighting. I constantly need protecting. I release the belief that only if I show up as a man in life will I be safe. I release the belief that I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I release all the decisions and choices I have ever made to play my role as a man would do. I make a new decision now to embrace myself fully the way I am, the way I was created. I make a new decision now to accept fully my body. I fully embrace my femininity. And I see strength in my femininity. I allow myself to be fully balanced in my male and female energy, be balanced and harmonized. Body in balance. I release the belief that I wasn't created perfect. That's a big one as well. We often think that we are somehow imperfect. I make a new decision now to see myself perfect just the way I am. The souls don't have a gender, they're neither male or female, they're called the divine hermaphrodite. So, of course, being born in a certain body and trying to identify yourself with it is not the way either. Trying to really brainwash yourself into I'm a woman and then behaving just one way, or polarize yourself only in the belief that you are the man and you have to behave in a certain way as a man. You can be both. If you look at spiritual teachers, at monks, very advanced beings, they're very feminine, even though they're male. They can be very, very feminine. They have the softness about them in their features, in how they come across. They're very strong, very willful, but at the same time, the way they come across, it's a very, very gentle manner, because they have harmonized both energies. And that is where we are heading to with our evolution, to be both, not needing to choose one or another. There are some times you need one energy more than the other, and there are other times when you need more of the other. There is no need to fight. There is no need to mimic. There is no need to try to become somebody else. Play around with both energy and see if your life improves. Because bulldozing your way through life is also not the way. It's exhausting, it's draining. Often people that are trying to bulldoze their way through life, they often have really bad health. And so it's good sometimes to just flow with things and feel into it, know when's the right time to run and know when's the right time to wait. I hope this was a helpful session. Put your awareness at the center of the Mother Earth. 5 feet down, 5 feet out, ground yourself. And whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes. For those of you who would like to join the next session, the topic is Women Born to Serve Man. So this is often happening already in the families when girls are still young, that they're being made to serve their fathers and brothers. And they see their mothers doing the same. And then they also go into marriages or relationships thinking they need to be the one cleaning the floor and cleaning the house and cooking and taking care of the kids. So, and men basically don't have to do anything. So it may have been true in the past where men went hunting and women stayed at home. But now things have changed. Both men and women go to work. But then it seems women have a second job, which is back home, which men don't have. Then they just watch TV. If this is something that you have observed in your life and you would like to clear it out, so join us during the next session. And if you would like to join tomorrow as well, the topic is fears of war and conflict. So many people are reporting to me that they're really concerned about what they're seeing on the news. There's so much talk about civil wars and Third World War and things like that. If this is something that you have gotten yourself entangled in, you might want to get this replay and keep playing it as as things progress in the next weeks, months, years, and just start disconnecting yourself more and more from that energy. It doesn't have to affect you, it doesn't have to drag you down. And if you would like to also join the money call on Thursday, it's going to be all about poor sinner mentality. There's a lot of that religious programming that we got to be poor and we're the poor sinner and all that sin and poor and poverty. That's what we're going to be clearing out. So if this is something that resonates with you, feel free to join us as well on Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. I hope it was a good session, and I'll see you again tomorrow or next week. Bye-bye.